Hi, this is a short video about my experience with a weird corner of Cave Story. The footage I have to show you contains Cave Story spoilers, but if you do not read the text on the screen, you're fine. It is a more informal rant style video than I usually make, but I just wanted to talk about this interesting part of one of my favorite games. This past December, I replayed the original freeware release of Cave Story for its 20th anniversary, which was wonderful. But it reminded me, the Steam version of Cave Story Plus by Nicholas has achievements. And despite that being the first way I ever played Cave Story, I knew for sure that I didn't have all of the achievements. What's up with that? Over the years, I've played almost every premium version of Cave Story, for better and for worse. The Steam version, WiiWare, 3DS Cave Story 3D, 3DS eShop, and the Switch version too. That's all of them except for the DSiWare version, which the 3DS eShop version basically covers by being nearly identical, save for the addition of widescreen. As a Cave Story fan, I can tell you for certain that exploring all of these versions was completely unnecessary. The freeware release from 2004 has all the Cave Story anyone would ever need in its original, authentic form. Anyway, why didn't I have all the achievements in Cave Story Plus? Steam told me that somehow I had played nearly 100 hours of it between 2011 and now, most of that probably occurring between 2011 and 2013. Well, as it turns out, several of the achievements are for lunatics. It really comes down to the challenge speedrun achievements, hard mode, and finishing the normal ending and the best ending both without having picked up any life capsules. The challenge mode speedrun achievements aren't too bad if you try borrowing some strategies from the best. Top Cave Story speedrunner Periwinkle did a single segment stream acquiring every achievement in the Steam version of Cave Story Plus, doing the challenge speedruns at the end, and me doing my best to copy some parts of those strategies was all I needed to land the S-rank speedrun times. That video is linked in the description. The tuning on the speedrun achievements is really tight, which we can know for sure by those achievements being some of the least obtained in all of Cave Story Plus. An unfair part of the challenge of these comes down to control scheme. I'm lucky enough that I have plenty of experience playing Cave Story as Pixel intended in 2004, with a keyboard. Z is jump, X is shoot, etc. The speedrun times require that you're able to mash the shoot button very quickly, which is easy enough when playing on a keyboard. You can alternate X presses with the left index and middle fingers, but on normal video game controllers that just isn't an option. There are other ways to mash buttons, even on controller, but that is a real unaccommodating and limiting factor to getting those achievements. The even harder Steam achievements are the hard mode playthrough and the normal and best ending with no life capsules achievements. Hard mode in Cave Story Plus is honestly a little too much, and once you add on the no life capsules on top of that, which you should because that's basically what hard mode entails as it is, you're looking at a whole playthrough that is almost, but not completely, a no-hit run. A no-hit run in Cave Story is ridiculous. I do not recommend going for it. The speedrun achievement's difficulty is in how fast you can mash, but the difficulty with trying to no-hit the hardest parts of Cave Story is reaction time. Hyper-vigilant, 100% locked-in focus on avoiding any and all damage for, at times, over 6 minutes straight. What surprised me is that there were only a handful of problem spots that required many, many attempts, but the issue for me is that it just is not a particularly fun way to revisit Cave Story. Pumping up the challenge to the no-hit run threshold is not what Cave Story needs. But that's all hindsight. I got the no life capsule achievements for the normal ending and best ending. So here's how it went. My hard mode run was smooth sailing until Monster X. Monster X probably took me something like 25 attempts, which isn't so bad compared to what comes after. Shout out to Periwinkle for showing off the 1 damage boss room laser door strat for free iframes. The core also took me around 20 tries, but my failure at that was even more of a skill issue on my part. Last Cave is pretty tough to no-hit, especially with having to deny all the muscle memory I have of just speeding through it in normal playthroughs. The Red Ogre fight is made much easier by jumping into the boss room laser door for free iframes, just like Monster X. And after that, all that's left is the normal ending boss gauntlet, and hell. The endgame boss gauntlet no-hit was surprisingly one of the most fun parts of the run. I didn't succeed until my 25th attempt at least, and even though it's really tense at the end, this part was fun. These are bosses with attacks that I had previous knowledge of how to dodge, unlike Monster X or the Core, cases where I never had to dodge attacks to make it through before. And then we get to Hell. The secret best ending stage and final boss are not built to be played without getting hit. Especially not the second room, called B2 by the game, also known as Tile Room. And especially not on a Nicholas version of Cave Story. If you didn't know, the original Cave Story runs at 50 frames per second, but every port published by Nicholas runs at 60. I'm sure the thinking behind this was that the movements of the game look smoother on most normal monitors and screens. And sure, that is true, but the problem is that Nicholas did not adjust the game's physics or any in-game engine numbers to account for the faster frame rate. Instead, the whole game simply runs a bit faster, something like 1/6 faster. This is fine, mostly unnoticeable, especially for a casual player, but it becomes a real problem in Tile Room. Tile Room is a mess in Nicholas 60 FPS Cave Story, especially for a no-hit. Tile Room is supposed to be a nightmare, but at 60 FPS the tiles and enemies border really close to unreactable. That's my one complaint really. I recorded only the last fourth of my total attempts at Hell at the end of my hard mode No Life Capsules playthrough, and as you might imagine, almost all of my attempts ended between the 20-second and 50-second mark in Tile Room. This is the one part of the almost no-hit run that really started to drag. This is the one part that I would not recommend anyone play. Now, it is true that you could make this a little bit easier by doing an entire extra playthrough. You can get the hard mode achievement by reaching the normal ending, and all that leaves is the No Life Capsules achievement for best ending. So really, you could try for No Life Capsules in an easy mode playthrough. I didn't do that because, let's be honest, Hell wouldn't be that different in easy mode. With No Life Capsules, it would still be almost a no-hit, even on easy. That's why I stuck with the hard mode playthrough. The last thing I had to learn was a good strategy for the boss's final form, and once again thanks Periwinkle for showing off an actual use for level 3 Blade, the first I've seen in the whole game. That was pretty cool. Did it feel good to succeed after a rough guess total of 4 hours of Hell attempts? Yes, but honestly not more than completing the normal ending boss gauntlet, which didn't take me more than an hour and a half of attempts. If you want that type of experience, you can just play Sekiro. I'm not Pixel, I didn't make Cave Story, but the difficulty design intention with Cave Story was never supposed to be as ridiculous as these toughest Nicholas Cave Story Plus achievements. So, that's what I got. Thanks for listening through to the end. Play Cave Story, play Caro Blaster, those are my actionable suggestions today. Since you did make it through the whole video, I'd bet you have your own opinions of Cave Story Plus achievements, or Nicholas versions of Cave Story, or Cave Story in general. I am interested in hearing your take in the comments. Alright, till next time.